डॉक्टर बाबा साहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी.
Namaskar. This is Jayjit Trivedi welcoming all of you students from Chaitanya Studio located at the Jyotirmay campus of the Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Open University, Ahmedabad. Today we are going to discuss paper number 2 of the MJMC course, that is Understanding Media, Mass Communication and Journalism. I must remind you that we are discussing unit 2 of this paper and today is 8th part of this unit. Right. So, first of all, as always, let us discuss what we have discussed in earlier session and what we have discussed so far. So, during initial years of journalism, gossip was the main content. We have learned that gossip was main content that we see till today, that one or the other form gossip is a part of journalism. But apart from gossip, we have now shifted to information and entertainment as well, right. So, gossip was during initial period, journalism was dependent upon gossip, right. Then 16th century and 17th century. This was the time period in which gossip was main content of journalism. Then the creation of proper, rather professional newspaper took almost 200 years. From the starting of journalism to taking a proper shape of the newspaper, it took almost 200 years. As we all know that forming a professional newspaper is a task and it is a continuous process which is still going on, right. So, but we can say that to formalize a professional newspaper, it took 200 years. Introduction of Press Restriction Act by British government, then adoption of technology in printing. We have learned that printing evolved with the technological changes and it made it very easy for the publishers to publish newspapers in a large number at very rapid pace. That is why newspapers shifted from periodicals to dailies, right. Then starting of on-spot reporting and dedicated reporters for different beats, right. As you remember, in the previous lecture we had discussed there were coffee shops in which reporters used to sit and used to gather information and used to write for newspapers. Then eventually slowly starting of on-spot reporting started. Before that they used to depend upon sources, they used to depend upon secondary news reporting, right. So, and then on-spot reporting started and different beats were started. Starting off daily newspapers like Daily Courant and the New York Herald. These two newspapers were started, we have already discussed about them. And now today let us look at what we are going to learn today. We will be discussing about section 4, that is modern journalism in 20th century. Earlier we have discussed about 16th and 17th century, 18th, 19th century as well. Now we will be shifting to 20th century. Now for that let us discuss some things that in 1855 the New York Times was launched by George Jones and Henry Raymond. These two people started the New York Times. This newspaper, mind it, it is still running and doing very good, right. This newspaper came up with skill writing. Now this is important, skill writing, and ensured maintenance of quality of writing. Maintenance of quality of writing. This could be taken as the beginning of the style book. style book, although not very professional, still as good as it could be in those initial days or years for launching the newspaper. Now we have learnt two different words here, that is, one is quality of writing, the other is style book. Now what is quality of writing? Earlier, when cafe reporting used to happen, the reporting style was different. The newspapers and the journalists would depend upon secondary source of information. That's why quality of writing was low. Then eventually skill writing started, on spot reporting started, and that's how quality of writing began to increase. And style book. What is style book? It is basically a format in which a newspaper language is written, right? If you see, that's use of grammar, use of punctuations, all of these are standardized. Not here, but today we see that all grammar, all punctuations, salutations for the important people, this is all standardized for all the newspapers. This has been a long story, long path for standardizing these things. The initial starting was from here, from New York Times. It introduced a style book of newspapers, right? As the newspapers were run professionally, so a lot of allied things followed. What things followed? Let us see. England's Chartered Institute of Journalists was founded in 1883, right? Chartered Institute of Journalists. Now, this is one of the first institutions created by journalists for journalists, right? So, eventually, when style book came, when quality of writing was introduced, professional writing was introduced, so journalism also started becoming professional, and such kind of foundation or institutions were started to support journalism. Now, in 1933, American Newspapers Guild was organized. Now, 1933, American Newspapers Guild was organized. This shaped the road of the modern day journalism, right? In this guild, some of the discussions were happened, that how we can take further the professional of journalism, what should be the layout of the newspaper, what news should be covered, all these things were discussed here, and eventually these were applied in newspaper printing as well. So, next we will see that as the demand for professional journalists started picking up, the first journalism university, right? University which offered journalism course was set up in Columbia. Columbia is located in USA, right? University of Missouri from 1879 to 1884. This was the first university in which journalism was taught professionally. The graduation course on journalism was first introduced by the Columbia University in 1912, right? So, graduation, you could get a degree in journalism, that started in 1912 by Columbia University, again located in the United States of America, in the city of New York, right? This university was located in New York, which was financially supported by Joseph Pulitzer. Now, students, let me know, when I say Joseph Pulitzer, what do you remember? Do you recall anything from this name, Joseph Pulitzer? Yes, Pulitzer was the founding member of the Pulitzer Prize, which is given every year for exceptional work done in the field of journalism. Mention the names of journalists who have won Pulitzer Award from India as well, right? So, I can give you a hint, two of the journalists won this award for the work they did in during COVID, right? So two of the journalists have won this award recently during COVID and because of their work during COVID, right? You can mention their names and mention other journalists who have won this prize from India. Now, Joseph Pulitzer was editor and publisher of The World. This was the newspaper started by Joseph Pulitzer, right? This is the paper which Pulitzer used to print, right? Had none of these events taken place in the mid and late 19th century and the early 20th century, we would not be discussing modern journalism, right? These are the traits of modern journalism, right? Wherein what we can say, addition of professionalism, starting of some of the institutions, starting of news reporting, starting of universities, starting of giving professional degrees, right? Graduation course started. These are the steps which formed modern journalism in today's shape. These are the pioneers. They are the pioneers of modern journalism. Because of the efforts they put in, today the journalism field is where it is today, right? So, as it would have taken a much longer time to shape up as profession that the young generation would want to pursue, right? Today, all of you youngsters want to pursue journalism in one form or the other, right? So, if these things would have not happened, I think we would have reached professional journalism, but what here written is it would have taken much time. Now, while journalism institutes and education programs were shaping up on one hand, the education institutes and journalism institutions were shaping up journalism simultaneously. On the other hand, war broke out, right? We all know that two wars, world wars happened, right? These world wars made huge impact on journalism, both reporting and technology wise, right? We will see it further. For the first time, newspapers from America sent their reporters to the war zone, right? This was the first time in World War I that America sent their reporters to the war zone for on-ground reporting. Now, remember, journalism was used during World War I and World War II both to push the agenda of the governments, right? If you read newspapers of the Germans in those days, you would know that they used to report that Germans are winning the war. If you read newspapers from America, you would read that Americans are winning the war. If you read newspapers from England, you would read England is winning the war, right? So, propaganda used to be spread amongst people during the war because the countries, the leaders had to ensure that morale of the people is standing tall, right? For that, journalism was also used, and also mind it that journalism was used to disseminate information, and what is happening in war zone, that was also reported for the first time by journalists, right? Remember Sanjay and Dhritarashtra. Now, this is the same thing happening here. It was a time when reporting and transmitting news was a challenging task, as reporters were dependent on telegraph services and trains, right? Today we have many modern equipments through which we communicate with each other. Today, dissemination of information, reporting is very easy. During those times, reporters had to depend upon telegraph and train services. Now, what is telegraph? It is a short service, short message if I write one message and I need to give to the operator, telegram operator, the telegraph operator would take the message and would code some things and send it to the receiver. The receiver would encode that message and write it on paper. So this is how reporting used to happen during those days. It is said that the transmission limitations of the telegraph sharpened the skills of tight reporting, right? So, because the telegraph had limitations of sending the words, if you talk to your grandparents, they would tell you how telegraphs used to send messages, right? They used to live in villages. One day a telegraph would come and only one sentence would be written, few words would be written, father serious, come soon, right? So they would understand that father is very serious, his health is not good, and we should reach to the destination as soon as possible. So this is how reporting used to happen, this is how communication used to happen, and that's how the limitation of words nurtured the skill of tight reporting in journalism. Today we see that if a report is written in 100 words, it is very tight and very informative. In 100 words, you would know the entire story about what is happening, right? It was precisely during the time that leading news dailies of America, especially New York City, realized the need of a news agency, and this gave birth to the first wire service, which is Associated Press. Now, we will learn about Associated Press and wire service in the next lecture. Today, we will keep it to this thing only, and I will be signing off. Thank you.